recognized as one of the biggest obstacles to economic growth and social development around the world, Nigeria has stepped up in the past 3 years and adopted newer and tougher measures in the fight against corruption in the country. The fourth Democratic President, Muhammadu Buhari, personally declared war against all forms of corruption as one of his cardinal points in fulfillment of one of his election campaign promises as soon as he came into office in 2015, May to be precise. Widely known as Buhari's anti-corruption war, the fight against corruption in Nigeria has remained one of Mr. President's main focus. How has he fared in this area? What gains has the Buhari administration recorded in the 3 years of anti-corruption campaign? How much impact has the fight against corruption had in the economic and social stability of the country? These and other questions we shall try to find answers to on Nigeria Today. I am Shegun Ojelade. I'm being joined to discuss the 3 years of the Buhari administration's anti-corruption fight by Danladi Pasali. He is from the Buhari Campaign Organization. I welcome you to the program.
Thank you very much.
Now, let's go straight into today's discussion. Fight against corruption, 3 years of the anti-corruption fight. How will you assess it?
Thank you for this opportunity. As a matter of fact, President Muhammadu Buhari 3 years of fight against corruption has been very, very tremendous. And it's something that Nigeria has started seeing it clearly. It is a known fact that prior to this time around, corruption has not only underdeveloped Nigeria, but have put Nigeria in a series of crises. The insurgents fighting, ethno-religious crisis, all sorts of various underdevelopment issue. But as of now, in fact, with the coming up of TSM, whereby we have a single account being monitored by the presidency, and a lot of leakages has been blocked. We have now found ourselves where an institution that was only remitting 1 to 2 billion now is remitting over $1 trillion. We have a situation where an institution in the past that is only relying on government for subvention and some other things now are also remitting money to the government. That has been an issue. And we have found ourselves in also certain situation whereby presently in Abuja we have over 6,000 houses that they are talking that they don't even know the owner in Asokoro, Maitama, and the people that nobody is even claiming that it's his house, because most of the houses are owned by civil servants, public servants. And we also find ourselves in a situation whereby in an airport about $6.7 million have been thrown out and people are looking for the owner. So you see, the truth is that every Nigeria, in the Africa and the world at large, have recognized that, and that is why the president, during an EU occasion, was picked up as one of the champions of anti-corruption crusade in Africa. It shows clearly that the corruption fight is working in Nigeria, and Mr. President is really succeeding.
Now, let's look, you have mentioned some areas now. Let's look at specific areas where corruption manifested in our body politic, in our economy, and then what you feel in the last 3 years have really changed. What has changed?
No, the truth is that if you're in touch with public servants, it is very clear that there is no more business as usual. And the issue of people now trying to find a solution to most of their economic activities, people are now going back to the farms. And the truth is that as at now, you see people facing trials, series of trials. And the whole thing shows clearly that anti-corruption fight is working. Even as at yesterday or day before yesterday, somebody was backed to go to prison and no option of fine or over 14 years imprisonment. It has just started. What I know is that so many corporate will be caught, and the people that looted the resources of this country will make to pay for it. In fact, at one time, you had how the president was so bitter, how $16 billion has been spent on power. And if you go around Abuja, you will never see any light. Not only Abuja, the Abuja that we know in those days, people run to Abuja to see light. But now even Abuja, so many parts of Abuja, you cannot see light. And that has also been an issue because some of us have been calling for thorough investigation into those issues. Because the truth is that service to Nigeria is bigger than an individual. And the purpose of this administration is to checkmate corruption. That's the main purpose. At one time we met Mr. President, he was telling us that, look, for his age, what is he looking for? So if we didn't fight corruption, corruption would fight us back. And now he's fighting left, right, and center. People are being sponsored to start killing people randomly because they want to have something to tell to the world that after all, Mr. President has failed. But it is all part of the corrupt system of the society. And you know, Nigeria, corruption is not something that it has been part of our body politic for years. And the truth is that Mr. President is really trying because he has been singled out as the only impetus of fight against corruption.
Okay, some people say, okay, yes, strong individual is good. Mm-hmm. Like you said, Mr. President is very strong, is fighting corruption.
Yes.
But people still believe that institution will fight corruption better. Strong institution.
You see, the truth is that we have been having such institutions for years. We have the National Assembly, we have the laws, we have everything, but we don't have individual that has the capacity, that have the political will to fight. And that is why the masses of this country will still believe in Mr. President. Because he has, for years, this is somebody who has been president, has been Minister of Petroleum, has been governor of Northeastern State, and with all this profile, he has no single property in Abuja, and you can extract him. He has made his account public, and he's telling his other colleagues that, okay, if you think you are clean, bring out your, declare your asset, declare your, let's see what we have. So you see, the truth is that the institution has been there for long. We have been having EFCC even prior to the coming of Mr. President. We have been having anti-graft commissions, but we have not been seeing them functioning effectively like now.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, do you believe that this anti-corruption war, I mean, just like you said, well, is one of the major achievements, areas of focus of this administration. But do you believe that it has really gone down deep, cover all the areas that should be covered? Many people believe that there are still some areas that have not been touched.
No, you see, the whole thing is coming gradually. There is the case of this whistleblower, and people have been having the liberty to also bring up issue. In fact, if you even if you raise an issue or write petition or raise some question, you have even benefits. I think it's about 5% or so. So we should, some of us in Buhari campaign, we still encourage Nigerians to also come up with so many ideas, so many visible and issues that can be investigated. Just like the 16 billion issue that has now promptly investigation have started on that issue. There are so many, you see, to the extent that even the money that is being supposed to be used in fighting insurgency in this country has been shared. So just to show you that how wicked Nigeria are, how can somebody that, some people that know the essence of terrorism in this country, where the whole world is fighting terrorism, insurgency, people that goes to the mosques, goes to our churches to set up bombs, kill our people randomly, and we say we want to stop that. They will go to central bank, will draw billions of naira and then started sharing it for political purpose. It is really an inhuman. These are high-level crime that we're also calling on Mr. President to thoroughly investigate those people and bring them to book, because they have told with the life of Nigerians. And that's why up to now, the return of that problem is still facing us. We are still facing the return of what has transferred from lack of insecurity.
Do you believe Nigerians are supporting the administration enough in this fight against corruption?
You see, the truth is that the commoners who are in control of over 90% of Nigerians are fully in support. Because let me tell you the implication of this corruption. Somebody will loot billions of naira, go and store it in his house without even investing in the system. If you have even been creating factories or investing in large-scale farming, whereby you even give our young graduates an opportunity to have something to earn a living, that's employing people, creating a lot of things. But the worst thing is that these people came to Abuja, buy a house that's supposed to worth maybe 100 million or 200 million. You find that the price will just be escalated to 2-something billion because you wanted to have a way to hide your money. People move their money to South Africa, to Europe and America, and also to Dubai. So instead of investing in your country, you are now making the money, just wasting the resources of your nation. So at the end, we have so many graduates, school leavers, and all people that have nothing doing. And that's how spring off 419, robbery and all sorts of things, kidnappers and all sorts of evils in the society. It has escalated it and even give it more pronounced. And that's what we're even experiencing. Even as of now, it is the same corrupt people that are instigating series of killing in this country. It's part of the fight back of the corruption people because they still have the money to
believe that
to sponsor people to go and start killing people in the churches and mosques.
Okay. Now the program is Nigeria Today. We're taking a look at the fight against corruption by the present administration. Earlier in the day, Nigerians made some comments on this fight and how far the administration has gone. Let's take a break now and listen to them. Okay. We will take the break. Nigerians are ready. Let's hear them.
So good is good. Because one thing I observe is that there is no disparity from both angles. I mean, political parties, they have been arrested, recovery of funds, and appreciation from the public. So the fight is good, no problem.
So I think he's really trying his best up to this time around, and they are working together with Magu is doing his best. But that advice that I will give the government, they should also tighten the security, especially in the various ministry and agencies.
Corruption of Baba Buhari for 3 years is okay because you cannot achieve anything without fighting the corruption. Those corrupt, they already loot more than 500 billion US. So that is why there is nothing can move without fighting the corruption and bring back the stolen before you think how to move forward.
Good idea. It's a good development because we are seeing the development. Because it's one person will sacrifice a life to fight against this country. Because the country has gone down. But we thank God that God's has sent to us to handle it. He sent President MUHAMMADU BUHARI to us to save us from seeing the country has already gone down. Now the country is waking up. We thank God for the development.
Okay, Nigerians have spoken. Well, the good thing is that everybody believes that corruption is a cankerworm that must be tackled and that the administration is doing very well. Well, that brings me to the question I asked earlier about the support the administration is getting. You've spoken about the downtrodden, the masses are in full support. Now, let's look at the international community. From in the last 2-3 years, Mr. President has got some accolades about the world. To what extent have such endorsements assisted Nigeria in this war against corruption?
You see, if you remember, I've said it earlier, at one time the African Union in their meeting in Addis Ababa has recognized the impact of President Muhammadu Buhari on fight against corruption and said the techniques and the way he's fighting corruption is the best. And I gave him champion of corruption fight in Africa. Apart from that, even his recent visit to America, in fact, the president made a confessional statement that, look, this the most honest person that he has ever seen in Africa. It is also a credit to the president and also to the fight against corruption in Nigeria. You see, at one time, the price of crude, in international market is not even meeting off the cost of production, because the cost of production is around 30 to 32 per barrel. At one time, we were selling a barrel at 28 and 30, which means we don't even have enough resources to even pay salaries, to pay the insurgents fight, to pay all our security arms. But because of the kind of leadership we have in the country, the confidence we have, the leakage has been blocked, and the government still have money to even give bail out to states where the state that cannot even pay salary. It shows clearly that we have a focused leader. We have a leader that really believes in tackling corruption, because corruption has been the main underdevelopment that we have in Africa has been an issue in all African leadership. And the truth is that the whole world has recognized what President Muhammadu Buhari is doing. And let me tell you, the whole issue of how we topple the past administration, Nigeria believes that the only person that can bring in changes in Nigeria, what we are now experiencing and we are now seeing, is through bringing in President Muhammadu Buhari, which we are now seeing clearly that the changes is really showing clearly in all sector of the economy.
Now, I think we've been focusing our attention on when we say corruption, we talk about people dipping their money into maybe public or private resources. But people say there are other forms of corruption that may not necessarily be fleecing government resources, but other forms of corruption. How will you assess the performance of the administration in this area? The change begins with me, for instance, the campaign. There are corruption, acts of corruption perpetrated by even those of us in the lower rungs of the ladder too, that eventually to have some multiply effect on the nation.
You see, the truth is that there is what we call leadership by example, where you have a purposeful leadership and the people also follow suit. You see, the level of indiscipline, there is indiscipline in our mind, indiscipline in our heart, and indiscipline in our spirit, in everything we do, and that is the talk of change. People thought that change is something that you just came in today and you start changing the face of people. Change is a gradual process. You have to change the thinking of people, the mindset of the people. You change their heart and thinking and even the way of life. Because people have made corruption as a way of life. So if something has been put in place as a way of life, it's something you have to start from somewhere. And what the young men, if you go to primary school and ask somebody, what do you want to become? They say, I want to become a governor. Because what they believe is that they see sirens, somebody that has been elected as a councillor, or that they know that he was striking. By the time he goes in, he now started riding a very big car, building a mansion in his villages, and coming there to spend money left, right, and center. And that has been also thinking of even the young ones. That so by the time you go into public servant, that's where it's an easy way to loot money, and also get all sorts of. So that is the thinking of the administration. That look, the first thing is that we have to also orientate. We have to change the thinking of the people. Not only, but the key is making sure that there is deterrence.
Okay.
People that looted our resources must also face the wrath of the law, because that will also be a deterrence.
Yes. Will you advise the administration to look into other areas, other sectors, other individuals, you know, election governors, for instance, across political parties, you know, states, local governments, not to focus. We advise government to widen the net, the drag net of catching those that are corrupt.
No, you see, the truth is that ICPC is taking care of one aspect. EFCC is going to every nook and crannies of this country to look into corrupt leaders based on petition and whistleblower programs. And then other issue is that we're mobilizing the Nigeria to know that there is alternative to even what we are doing. For instance, people believe that the only option is to get into public servant, into public work to earn a living. What Mr. President is saying that, look, you can go and be a very comfortable farmer and have a money. You can, that is why there is this program of Anko Boa program. Now we have over 66 to 15 million Nigeria now going back to farm, that people doesn't believe that farming is yielding result. But now people are now, because of the Anko Boa program, whereby most of this looted money are not being channeled into Anko, these commoners to go and farm, being given loan to participate in the farming programs, both in livestock and other activities.
Okay, if you have your way, Alaji Pasali, if you have your way to have a say or a hand in how the anti-corruption fight is being handled or is being fought now, what are those areas that you will want to correct?
No, you see, the key issue is a situation people will be manned with responsibility to, okay, for instance now, the second Niger bridge has been there for over 40 years. Now the president has made it a reality. It's almost 95% completion. So you see, in terms of infrastructure, people use infrastructure to loot money. They will out contract, and at the end you go and you find nothing there, and the money has been looted. These are issues that must be looked into. You see, issue of expanding of our schools, promoting industries, mobilizing people to go back to farms. These are areas that they are being used to siphon government money. But this time around, the government have said, look, the best option is to mobilize people to see that every money that is being budgeted for, and if there is a contract for any infrastructure, that project must be supervised and make sure that it's being implemented. So the truth is that the most important aspect is to make sure that there is deterrence. People that looted money must be caught, and we must also bring back that looted money back to the system.
Okay.
Just like what we're experiencing now.
Yes. African proverb says a tree cannot make a forest.
Yes.
Now, what advice do you have for those that are around Mr. President, either in whatever capacity, to aid this anti-corruption fight?
Well, you see, the fight continues and is succeeding, and as far as I'm concerned, he has a very good aid, especially the MUHAMMADU is doing his best, and we have seen results, and the ICPC are also they are also working, and we're also, you see, the fight should not be only left to the presidency. Even the National Assembly should be involved. We know that they have been sabotaging the system, because 80% of them are corrupt people that are there.
No.
So,
just telling you. No, don't worry. Don't say that.
And that we know as a fact, even within the National Assembly, there are some very patriotic Nigerians who are also aiding the president, because there are so many laws that are being passed that also help to checkmate the corrupt Nigerians. And we also as the general public, will also through the whistleblower programs, through writing and sending of petitions here and there, will also help to assist. So it's not only the working of only Mr. President. We know that other group, even what we call what do they call it, the private individuals, both in government and outside government, can also aid it.
Yes. I must thank you very much, Alhaji Danladi Pasali of the Buhari Campaign Organization, for all that you've said
Thank you very much
on this program today. Thank you very much for availing us of your time.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Well, this is where we call it a day on the last edition of Nigeria Today for this week. Join us on Monday for another edition. Have a glorious weekend. Bye-bye.